Namaste, masters and friends. So, whether it's morning, evening, or afternoon, I extend my warm regards to each one of you. This is Lavanya Vishwanath from Melbourne, Australia. It brings me immense pleasure to extend a heartfelt welcome to all of you to My Time Infinity program. You all know this initiative is a collaborative effort between IFSS and PSSM Global. And today marks a significant milestone as we are already on day 21. It's truly a remarkable achievement as we understand the power of consistent practice over 21 days in forming lasting habits. I want to commend all our dedicated masters and friends for their perseverance and commitment to attending these daily sessions. Your dedication is truly inspiring. I also want to express my appreciation to our incredible team for consistently bringing in voracious speakers who not only enrich our understanding, but also ignite our enthusiasm for the forthcoming wisdom sessions. Personally, I have gained tremendous insights from these sessions, and I hope all of you resonate with this feeling. Today, we have wonderful host Sri Lakshmi, who would be taking us through the session along with Research Bite. Before handing it over to Sri Lakshmi, let me give a quick intro of her. Sri Lakshmi is an IT professional from Melbourne. She has worked in corporate IT companies for past 18 years in various domains like banking, NGO, state and local government in Australia in various leadership roles. She has learned Ana-Pana-Sati Meditation in 2004 and completed her certificate course in holistic counseling in Australia. With this, I would like to hand it over to Sri Lakshmi. Sri Lakshmi, over to you.
Thank you, Lavanya. It's my pleasure to host this session. I'd like to first go ahead with the research bite, and the research bite is about the association between meditation practice and job performance. So this study was collectively carried out by researchers from different departments of University of Tokyo. This study explored how meditation might benefit various aspects of job performance among Japanese business people. So the study basically had three goals, and that was to find out how many people meditate. And the second thing was about understand who these meditators are, and then how meditation affected their job performance. And this research also did like two surveys. And the first survey was, they found out that 3.9% of 30,000 people surveyed meditation practice. So they did meditation. And these meditators were generally young, more educated, had higher incomes, and experienced very high stress levels as well. And the second research was done. Just give me a moment.
I see there's a technical issue over here. Please give us a minute here, masters. And also let us take this time for a minute to share your thoughts. So it's been 21 days. So how are you feeling? Is it becoming a habit in your life doing this meditation? How is it? You can just share your comments in the chat. In the meantime, by the time Sri Lakshmi just connects back. You see any kind of change in your life, or any kind of, it might not be a major thing, but even for suppose during these 21 days, I learned a lot, like how to control my mind, especially observing my thoughts during this, and how one should observe any kind of emotion or any kind of um, uh, whatever the thought it is. Like I normally used to go with the thought. So now I'm trying to learn how to observe it. Okay, now Sri Lakshmi is back, so I'll hand it over to her. Sri Lakshmi, you're on mute.
I'm sorry, it was a glitch with my computer, I think.
That's all right. Yeah, go
Yeah.
ahead.
So, as I said, 3.9% of these 30,000 people on whom this first survey was conducted, basically, they were younger people, had higher income levels, and also had higher stress levels and low body mass index. But body mass index generally didn't reveal anything out of this study. Uh, Compared to the people who didn't meditate. So we are in the first survey, we are looking at 30,000 people. And in the second survey, which involved around 1,470 participants, they actually discovered that there is a positive link between meditation and job performance. And this included higher work engagement and job performance, better job performance, greater job satisfaction. And these benefits remained significant even after considering factors like age, income, and lifestyle habits. And the study also suggests that meditation can enhance job performance by improving both mental and physical functions. And it appears to bring about changes in the brain and the body that people focus better and manage stress more effectively. And as I said, BMI didn't affect the job performance, but physical activity did. So how active people are before they are not in the work environment in their day and after in their free time actually mattered a lot on their work engagement and job performance. And the research also indicated that younger people and those with higher socioeconomic status are more likely to meditate, and this fits with the idea that new habits often start with higher income groups before spreading to others. So, this is what the research says. And in summary, this research suggests that meditation could be useful tool to enhance job performance, number one, and also to improve the work engagement. Because I think often in more corporates, we have people who are permanent job holders, but their engagement keeps dropping up and down. So meditation can be used as a tool for that, again, for job satisfaction and subjective job performance. And it also highlights the potential of meditation to benefit employees and calls for more research to see how meditation practices can actually spread across different groups, because we are in this research it was only focusing on specific group. So it can be spread across different groups to reduce the job performance and the inequalities there. So this is the research bite. And so considering this research bite, I'd like to say that corporates, when we say corporates, this is all the outer world where there are professionals delivering high value. When we say, so irrespective of what environment, methodologies, or what projects they are working on, I think all the corporates seek that the people who are working for them deliver high value for the organization. So then it is a consistent race, right? So it's like you have to keep delivering high value, and irrespective of the geographic location. Yeah, some geographic locations have a higher stress value because of the culture there. Some are a little laid back, but still all these organizations are looking at delivering the value. So we have to see how meditation can actually bring about that employee employer satisfaction, and also, people, at the end of the day we are all people, and how meditation can be used as a tool to be happy with our work life as well as our family life. I think that is where we are looking at. um, And I'd also like to welcome our speaker, Chandra sir. So, and give a bit of introduction about you, sir, actually. So, Chandra sir, founder of Buddha CEO Quantum Foundation. He is a successful entrepreneur and former vice president at IBM Corporation, meditation coach and board member, advisor of Pyramid Valley International, Quantum Life University, and others. Um, Chandra Pulamarasetti attributes a lot of his success, including the acquisition of his software company, to the powerful techniques based on meditation and mindfulness. And he he's inspired and deeply transformed by the teachings of Jagat Guru Patriji sir, Brahmarshi Pitamaha sir, and he has studied several masters from East and West, including Dr. Joy Dispenza, Swami Rama, Neil Donald Walsh, Seth, and many more. And he has been practicing meditation for over 22 years now, teaches regularly to leaders and professionals, conducts multi-day meditation retreats, and participates in several meditation service activities. And Chandra sir dreams of a spiritual world being established in the shortest possible time, where every leader transforms into a Buddha CEO and contributes to this cause significantly. So I would like to welcome Chandra sir onto the platform. Thank you, sir. We are very honored to have you here.
Thank you for this wonderful introduction, but very importantly, the research bites that you're bringing it up. Really nice. So is it something you do every day? Do you have a research bite based on the topic?
Yes.
Okay. So that's great. I think it's nice to see the IFSS platform bringing some of these wonderful initiatives. My congratulations to the team, as well as gratitude for inviting me here today. Patriji made this whole process of meditation so scientific. And the scientific temperament that he introduced, and then he always said it has to be verifiable. There has to be experimentation, and it has to be verifiable. Then it is scientific. Anything that you can verify. And so that scientific temperament that instilled in everyone who came into meditation with PSS movement, and so is Buddha's Quantum Foundation, helps us to explore and see that meditation fits in all dimensions, in all areas of life. And so is meditation for corporates. I met him in the year 1999 through my younger brother, Dr. GK. You said one thing. You said, yes, some kind of balance of family versus work. Today, the first thing he told was, when I met him, that you may be very successful. By then, I was in the United States working for some companies there, which is now IBM, but then I was working for a company called Sequent. And then I met him in India on another occasion. So he said, you may be successful in the United States, but then you do not know anything about life. They were a straight shooter always, Patriji. And so then he sort of challenged me at that time, saying that essentially you're saying you don't know how to live life, a proper life. And so that helped me to, even though I was hurt deeply, then from an external perspective, based on my consciousness at that time. But luckily, I had my great support system and my brother and my father, Apaji Garu, who helped and said, you are going to be the loser if you go away because he said something. Instead, you see if there's any meaning behind what he said. And so that helped me to sort of explore, then go away from him. Only to realize that this meditation fundamentally is changing us as a person, even greatly useful at work life. I used to think, and I used to see an environment where the bosses were biased bosses, non-cooperative individuals, because individuals mostly are of a consciousness that's survival oriented. So they try to keep close to your chest anything that is there. And so then you don't find so much cooperation, because the understanding is that if I know something, if I hold it to myself, then I'm more valuable. This is the current understanding. And the biased bosses, and if you are very competent, and then if you notice that you are not necessarily getting, and I was very competent, came from Bits Pilani, and then quite always had great work ethics. But that also came with a lot of expectation that I need to be, since I'm doing always best, performing best, I need to also get the best. That expectation was there, which was never matched by my bosses. Instead, they seemed to be spending time more with someone else who I thought were not performing that great. But this meditation, when I took to it for about 40 days to 2 months, once I was just going through and I'm very stressful. So I did this I said, I got to know about it for 2-3 years, but I really not jumping into it. So let me jump in. And on occasion in the year 2002, when I was into startups by then. And so then when I did this meditation for about 2 months consistently, I did with a lot of reading of the books that Patriji recommended. Many books I was reading during that period. So 3 things happened for me. One, the stress was not there. It just magically disappeared. And the same thing that I used to feel pretty heavy. And so I was looking to go to work. The stress is not there. I was just literally enjoying. The second thing that happened is that my thought process so much changed that my manager was no longer biased for me. It automatically happened. I guess I was looking at a different perspective. And so that expectation dropped. The manager by himself did not change, but it was clear that I changed. And so then that interactions became better. The people there around, because as I became quite positive, I read this book called Conversation with God by Neil Donald Walsh. Scott Beck books I read, Richard Bach books I read. All these books helped me, I guess, change my perspective. And Harvard study shows that events are neutral. Events happen, but the meaning that we assign to an event makes us either feel good or not good. So it is simply that meaning is always making us feel good or not good. So 90% of the suffering is in the mind, and it is given through the meaning that we assign based on our past. And so that perspective, I recognized and later when I contemplated, has changed for me. As I was gaining higher wisdom, as meditation was helping to assimilate a lot of the wisdom, and saying that it is okay, others are also going through a similar challenge that you may be going. There may be a big picture for the manager, and so then he is or she is doing what they're doing. Your perspective is different. So many of those aspects have helped me to think different, I suppose. And so then the people who are cooperating with me, my manager no longer biased, and I was no longer feeling stress. So it was helping me pretty easily after those 2 months of practice. Then I continued further, and then of course we hear healing happens. And so then there's always some health benefit for everyone that our body is recovering, rejuvenating, because meditation is going us into a deeper beneficial wave states of the brain and the body. And so that happened to me too. that I used to have a condition which was not allowing me to do air travel, rather allowing me, but it would be very, very painful for me because of the way that would cause an ear blockage, pain. And if I left for 24 hours, then it become infection. And so my ears will get blocked and not get unblocked. Common for getting blocked, but not that common for getting them unblocked. They won't get unblocked. So it was bothering me. I was discouraging myself to do travels, and which means that sometimes it affects your career. In my case, I needed to be in front of clients and I needed to be traveling back and forth, which was not happening. Or rather, I was discouraging myself. And so then I didn't like it. And so didn't have a solution. It was not like, okay, threatening of anything, but it was definitely not something that I was enjoying. As in every time an opportunity, client business opportunity, I couldn't, with enthusiasm, travel. And so that, in these 4 months, that resolved for me automatically, something that I was struggling with for about 5-6 years, with experts in the United States everywhere telling me that this is a lifelong situation, but then it resolved automatically 4 months later when I was just simply meditating, and one fine day I was doing travel back again from one of those occasions from Bangalore to US. I didn't realize that it was no longer there for me. So that's when the liberation came. That's when I decided. I used to hear from hallways of PSSM that pretty much 3 things: your body heals so you can heal, that constantly no medicine, no doctor was being heard. To me, it meant more liberation. It's not so much meant that literally don't take them, fine. So it's not about proving an heroic, but it meant liberation, meant free. Person like me, when I was traveling to various countries all the time to different places, not having to worry about doctors, not having to worry about the medication available or not available was great. When venturing into nature, remote areas, it is great to feel that something may happen in the nature and you don't have medication. So when this healing happened, when I used to hear this, body heals, your thoughts create reality, be a light unto yourself. 3 things were constantly there as 3 statements that I took to explore. Thoughts create reality was the toughest to accept, because then you're accepting everything that is there happening and not happening for you at workplace, then you have to accept, which is not, it was difficult, but I started experimenting. And then first one was this health. So what happened is, I guess my thought process changed, so my health improved suddenly. That condition disappeared. Something was told is not going to get resolved forever, lifelong. I was asked to take some inhalers and stuff. Every time I would do any travel. But so then that freedom came, and I decided that medication is not necessary for me, because if this could heal, everything can heal. And then subsequently, a chronic recurring backache, which used to really bother me, also dissolved by itself over a period of time. Nothing happened overnight. Everything took some time, but things were happening one by one. For an executive, you know it, that health is so important. One of the core things, then if you see successful people, many, many successful leaders, one of the core success factors for them, they say, is the health regime or fitness regime. They all talk about it, that now they all have always something to do with the fitness. Now, they may not be doing meditation necessarily, but they're always doing something, they're keeping themselves fit. If you're not healthy, and it is always impacting your objectives at work, whether your projects, the ability to lead in this and that. And so this was important, which I did not realize, but it's already happening in health. So subsequently, after coming into meditation, I don't even recall if I ever called sick. It is that powerful that you are always healthy, and then in case, even if you're not that great, then your body will just heal, you take rest, you have a different perspective, and then you're able to come out pretty quickly. So with that understanding, with that health gained, then I felt it is powerful that I must give this immediately, associate myself, and then the calling, an opportunity came from Then, this is in 2003, Paul Vijay came and said, Patriji, I wanted you to join Pyramid Valley project we were establishing. So I took to that opportunity. I felt, and these things were really clear that if you want to be succeeding in any domain, then you want to be surrounded with yourself with those experts. And so I felt this is a great way. And I saw my younger brother, Dr. GK, doing already so much of meditation service and always constantly being with, meeting Patriji or Paul or, some of the Anjaneya Sharma's other masters that time. So I said, okay, let me also join. So I joined like that to Pyramid Valley project. But then pretty quickly, it was useful that I could give my expertise, corporate expertise there in planning and then sort of establishing, raising funding, taking it up systematically. A big mega project for PSSM then, first time we're building infrastructure of that scale. And so we were enjoying and then we're growing it up. And then soon, within 10 years after, I recognized and realized somewhere in 2015 that I was actually living my purpose. What I joined as simply that I will gain, but turned out to be that I'm actually living one of my core purpose is to help establish these meditation centers that spread meditation significantly through Pyramid Valley International. It's very proud feeling to be saying that today we are taught meditation at Pyramid Valley International alone for more than 3 million people since the time it was since inception. And this whole Valley, Pyramid Valley International, the way it came up, taught again another great principle that it is not necessary to have money. It's not necessary to start with money or resource. It is important to start with an intention and thought. That's what Patriji mentioned in the beginning. In the year 2003, in a function, 3 months after we started, registered the Valley body, we were doing a small function in a 4-acre land. And when I was asking him that, sir, this project takes about 15 crores or $4 million in US roughly that time. And then we have nothing here in the bank. So how do you expect? And it was that way too. Then, and in Bangalore, there's hardly, a dozen meditators, serious meditators. Then he said, Chandra, my projects start with intention. They don't start with money. My projects are always growing based on how passionately people are taking them forward, how much you can involve yourself into. This is how I've been growing. PSS Moment is growing. Now I see this brochure. This is good. A good version is made here. You documented your vision. Now, how passionate you are about it, how much you can carry this message forward. Now, you are 10 of the trustees, that time were 10 trustees. You are 10 of you. Can all of you talk about this consistently? Can all of you spread this message? If we can dream about this strongly, then it will come. This is what he told. Money is incidental. I used to use the word money is incidental. It is required, but it's not the only thing or the first thing. So it so happened that subsequently, then we kept talking about this, and then we went and then went without necessarily having any big corporate funding, without necessarily having any amount of huge capital by anyone then, because in the year 2003, even Sri Sriyans Dagaji was not there yet in the beginning. He only came into the picture about 12 months after. By then, we had most of the land acquired, and then the pyramid work hasn't started, but some things are there. So the project took off on intention, and then it grew for a period of time as you kept your thought on it, it was sustained. The good thing that happened was that Pyramid Valley had this great board. Rajanji, grateful to you. So Rajanji has always been there in the board that I see here. And then the people were very coherent. We were coherent no matter had differences, but we were able to bring together. That brings up the other point, the coherency, that meditation brings alignment among individuals to the great extent. And so then it helped us to sustain and stay focused, even And of course, when things go right, of course, we go right, we do it easily. But when things don't go right, and it did happen several times to this project where many things were not going right. There are a period of 2 years where we didn't have any funding. We had not necessarily great alignment among the board due to some of the decisions they're making about pyramids, the beautiful structure that you see today. And so the pyramid was not moving at all for years. And those are periods where we have to really, really persevere and then be there, just hanging there. And Patriji would tell, just continue. And then what's the hurry? Something will happen, something will come forward, and then we can again go forward. And so then it's how it happened. It had to wait for some time, but then again, the work resumed, and then we were able to beautifully make this available in the year 2008 for an international event. The point, dear friends, is that this whole episode taught that if you have great intentions, and then if you can dream, then the projects will come on live. You can dream and then you can stay persistent on it, not abandon, not give up too soon, too quick. And so the manifestation principles came really alive for me as I was observing in this entire Pyramid Valley International Projects itself. And it's something that happens all the time in corporate. So while I was continuing at Pyramid Valley International, doing many things there, building facility after facility, doing events after events, contributing to it, I was able to definitely take adequate time while I was running my business. I was able to do adequate time for service. It is again just a thought switch and a mind switch. If you think that you are busy execute, you can't do, then you can't do. Henry Ford, if you think you can do, you're right. If you think you can't do, you're still right. And so it was clear that thought spirit reality was deeply imbibed into me and said, okay, why not? Why not that I can still give adequate time? So I remember that and I continued to perform my job as CEO while I also was able to give another that many hours, at least 40, 50 hours for service every week continuously for Pyramid Valley Project 2. And so it is possible that if you decide in your mind that I can do many things, then you can, because I saw Patriji at any given time running like hundreds of projects. Why not? I mean, he was so close to every individual, everyone had a project, and then everyone is performing greatly. Dhyana Jagath magazine, Karnataka, PSSM, there is another pyramid project in Hyderabad. Everywhere, many projects were there. There is spiritual tablet with Dr. GK, whatnot. And so then it was clear that it was a true example to say that you had unlimited potential. So I was able to give adequate time for my service, meditation service, while performing equally without necessarily neglecting any part of the business. And so both were going great. And so along the way, then, your purpose time to time changes. The same thing you enjoy today, you may not enjoy later, but then your purpose changes. And the calling was there that I needed to really press accelerator for my business. So I came out of the managing trustee, went into growing my business, and then there my objectives were to get a great acquisition and then go into corporate meditation, introduce meditation to the corporates extensively. With a corporate background, we always used to feel that my purpose somewhere is there into this side. Purpose of life now, Dr. Deepak Chopra, and then many, Deepak Chopra is, I like this. Purpose of life is to apply your unique talent in service of others. Apply unique talent in service of others. The service of others comes up consistently, whether you read the purpose, their understanding of the Dalai Lama, Mahatma Gandhiji, it comes up consistently that it's in service of others. The Deepak Chopra are talking about using your unique talent. We find out what's unique. Patriji is told in different ways that entertainment, enlightenment for enjoyment. He was talking, addressing body, mind, soul, and then saying, you do this. But he always said, do what is right for you. And then he said, if you knew something unique, special, like meditation, then you would teach that. You wouldn't go in and teach English still because you knew English too. So he was indirectly telling you, apply your unique talent, whatever that is. And so to me, it was very clear that I must take meditation that healed me, that was giving me a great time at companies, and this whole process, the thought process, the perseverance, all of that habits are built in, qualities are built in, which subsequently helped me in my company acquisition. I wanted to introduce meditation to the corporates, but I was looking for a stronger scientific understanding, and so then came in contact with the teachings of Dr. Joe, Dr. Amit Goswami, Fred Alan Wolf, and Greg Braden, all of these folks, and then Bruce Lipton. They all were talking so much scientific language. In fact, Patriji introduced me this book called You Are the Placebo in the year 2014. He said, Chandra, read this book. There is also a website, EOC Institute, Exploration of Consciousness Institute.org. And if you read that website, there is so much of scientific evidence of how meditation helps in many aspects of physical, emotional, mental wellness, well-being, and all of them scientifically with the research quoted. So when I studied those, I felt like there is so much of empowerment that is there that we can introduce in corporates. While meditation is a common phenomenon at my workplace, but then I wanted something systematic and scientific to bring it into the corporate. Parallelly, my company got acquired by IBM. Through these principles that I've read, imbibed the whole manifestation principles, one of the big thing in there was reprogramming limiting beliefs. That in spite of being in meditation for years and years, I recognized after going through the other placebo book, even though I went through multiple workshops of money and spirituality kind of stuff through Dr. Newton by then, and then of course there's the red books of Seth, and all of them were there, but this somewhere I recognized I formed limiting beliefs about my business, which was already there for multiple years of existence. That it is difficult to grow the business in United States market. If you're an India company, it's difficult to sort of get acquisition because I was getting some rejections, or at least people are saying, come back later, come back later. So I didn't realize that formed several limiting beliefs. So even though you carry yourself in meditation regularly, but the limiting beliefs get formed, they get formed at the drop of a hat because they're there in the environment. Constantly, environment is telling you something, and so you're so busy doing what you're doing, and so many times you're forming limiting beliefs. Is what happened to me. So with meditation, when I read this book again, those things came back up as concepts. So applying various principles of being openness, visualization, limiting beliefs, removing limiting beliefs, I was able to greatly move a company towards an acquisition in a beautiful way. And so that happened. So then I give a lot of credit of acquisition for a company, irrespective of having a lot of baggage, if you will. In a software company, if it existed for 13 years, it had a baggage of some kind. Normally, you would want to see that it grows from in 0 to 7 years. Ideally, it should grow and get acquired. But it didn't happen for us. But still, we were able to get acquired, which means even though you had adversities or challenges, you're still able to navigate towards a great outcome is something that I take from there. And then I give a lot of credit to meditation. And so with all of this, and then the purpose became clear. Patriji said somewhere in the 2015, Chandra, let's do Buddha CEO. And then we started a conference. Buddha CEO, he said that time Buddha left the palace, but now we don't leave the palace, we are right here. And one meaning he gave was, yes, then Buddha come back as a CEO and then do things here, right? That's what it meant. You understand yourself, but now operate not as a pure material CEO, but as a spiritual CEO, as Buddha. So be a Buddha inside, CEO outside, meaning very successful at whatever you do. CEO symbolic of highest level in material success, material living great life, and then Buddha spiritually living great life. That's what another meaning of Buddha CEO is. And so we said, let's do a conference of leaders, bring somebody. And then we did a small conference, there were 20, 25 people in Pyramid Valley in 2015. Then in 2016, a couple of small conferences. Then something happened, we didn't continue forward. I was also quite busy at my work in that time because I had to really give a lot of time for IBM after acquisition. But then something beautiful happened. So then with this Buddha's inspiration, with all the scientific evidences through these modern spiritualists called Dr. Joe and then Amit and all of them, I was able to have enough ammunition to take this into the IBM as we introduced into the corporate level, introduced leadership, many things. In fact, that's one of my goals as going into IBM. Even during negotiation, I made this as a negotiation point. If you allow me to stay and teach meditation, then I'll stay in IBM for longer. Because they always want you to stay longer as an acquiring CEO. They want you to stay for long, but my intention was to come out as quickly. But then, so I'd asked for allowing me to take meditation into IBM, and so it was a good thing that IBM was encouraging. So me, with then my manager, general manager, Lawrence Gohar-Jolly, who is a co-founder of Buddhasi Foundation, were able to introduce this meditation in the corporate IBM significantly. And many, many leaders were always telling, hey, this is giving me, of course, stress relief. This is helping me take clear decisions. And third thing that they were consistently got from their leadership was that this was helping us behave better. Challenges come, somebody will come in and tell you that, no, I just don't like this in front of you. And on a performance appraisal, always it happens. You're doing a performance appraisal, your best architect, but doesn't like what they're taking. And so they tell you something on the face, and how do you react? And this is where meditation helps to emotionally be very regulated. And so that you give a response and something cool. You know the essence of what they're saying, not the words they're saying. And so you're able to step back and then listen to it and then give a different response. And so these three things were big benefits for that we were hearing leadership, that we are better emotion regulated, we have more clarity of our decision making, and then there's no stress. And so then we kept growing. At some point, the same thing I was doing was not enjoyable enough. And then I spoke to Patriji, said, find time to resign. So I came out and started Buddhasi Quantum Foundation. In spreading this work now, promoting this into leadership and corporate significantly. We are essentially taking a scientific voice. So we listen to some of it post meditation, and we can do some meditation now, and then I'll present a few slides of Sharmaji asked present peak performance, resilience and peak performance, meditation for resilience and peak performance. I guess many are already probably using it, but what I show could help in utilizing some of these understanding in the way you all can take it too. If you're already, I'm sure many are doing it to the corporates in some way or the other, but this framework that we put together can aid to the structure that you are taking forward when we listen to that post meditation, right? And also, Buddha CEO, ever since we came in, we started carrying a lot of research. We kept doing assessment, and the day 1, day 21, day 40, different periods of points of a meditator's life. And so these assessments, we put them to the research around what data comes out. And then many things came out consistently, matching, and then much better in terms of what we notice, what people are telling us, in terms of the improvement they're seeing that is applying to the work life directly. We called it organizational excellence. So we'll also talk and look at some of that post meditation, right? So I must say that meditation is a greatly changed my life and changed significantly add value to our business, Senoway Technologies, and subsequently the companies that I worked at IBM, and then now to many, many companies where we are introducing this meditation. We've done in Cognizant and in Microsoft and then, of course, IBM. Many companies that we do introduce in a strategy workshop about how business can grow. We of course do introductions. We do 3-week program or 6-week program for them to make it a habit. And so many things that we're doing in a scientific fashion. Outside the companies, inside, of course, the companies, and all of that in many ways. And so grateful to Patriji for making and then helping me evolve what I am, and then introducing that scientific mindset, and then allowing to decide what is right as an individual, allowing me to automatically navigate myself to find the purpose. And IFSS is a wonderful institute. I remember in the 2009 or 10, and Rajanji and we were all there at a meeting. Sir said, we must start this to bring and then take this not just as only PSSM, but also with several other organizations together, is how it started, and then kept doing so many national conferences. And then the GCSS, global conference we're doing together with IFSS. So happy to see that this is getting revived significantly, and then much work is getting done. Many thanks to Rajanji, Sampath Sharmaji, and several others that you are there in this banner. So shall we do some meditation?
Sure, sir, definitely.
All right. So dear friends, we're practicing Ana-Pana-Sati meditation, a breath mindfulness meditation. If anybody new there, the goal of this meditation is to empty the mind, and we do this with our eyes closed, observing the breath. So sit down as you see in the picture, comfortably, relaxed in your body, crossing your feet at ankle, fingers into fingers, hands rested comfortably in your lap, eyes closed, specs removed. Observe your normal, natural breath. Anywhere in the nose is the reference point, preferably in the middle of the eyebrows. When you observe your breath slowly, your mind becomes empty. Then be in the state of emptiness, state of energy. At any given time, if you notice you have thought, bring your attention back to the breath again. We spend maximum time doing this process. Relax yourself, relax your body, be with your breath. I'll play light music. Dear friends, dear masters, we are going into breath mindfulness meditation. With your eyes closed, observe your normal, natural in-breath and the out-breath. When you observe your breath, your mind slowly becomes empty. As your mind is becoming empty, you experience greater emptiness, that quantum field of energy. It is natural to have thought. When you recognize your thinking, go back to observing your breath and allow yourself to slowly become empty. allow yourself to merge into that emptiness inside of you, all around you. When you empty your mind of thought, you channelize all that energy into the present moment. You allow your body to function at its natural best. You develop greater power of thought. allow yourself to experience the emptiness inside of you, all around you. All emptiness is energy. This is the quantum field of energy with limitless possibilities. The field of intelligence. The longer you stay aware of this emptiness, this field of energy, the more possibilities you draw into your life. Friends, at this time, I'd like you to express gratitude. Gratitude to all things and everybody. Can you express gratitude to your parents, your teachers, mentors, family, friends, colleagues, relatives? Be grateful to this grand nature, the bird, the fish, and the animals, to everything you use, the technology, the system, the companies, the governments that support our life in many, many ways. Gratitude to yourself and to this intelligent quantum field. For helping us experience this beautiful life. Gratitude is the ultimate state of receivership. Recollect your experiences from the session. How did you feel? What did you see? And whenever you're ready, you can keep your hands on your eyes for 5 seconds, and then you will open your eyes. Okay, friends. Hope you enjoy the session.
Thank you, Chandra sir. It has been an amazing session. I was truly inspired to hear all your journey from the beginning. And coincidentally, I'm also a graduate of BITS Pilani. So I was truly inspired to hear your story, all your journey. So yeah, it very much, I think, journey with Patri sir was also, I think you're very fortunate to have associated with him and worked on so many good projects along with him. And sir, one thing I was just making notes and I was just thinking, in the initial part of your session, you mentioned that your perspective changed, and this happens often when we are in the employee leadership. That bonding, it is really important in the corporate world, right? Where any individual who has this frequency to hold things to themselves, because the more you hold, the more powerful they feel. So in those situations, what did you do? Like when you said your perspective changed and ultimately your boss's perspective also changed, how did meditation play a role there in changing your perspective?
So I was no longer thinking, because one thing that helped me understand is that there is something called big picture. So I was thinking from my perspective, when a project did not come, when I expected me to be in a client meeting along with my boss, when I was not there, I was always thinking from my perspective. The perspective of somebody else was completely not there at all. That's really how it was. But during that time, after reading all these books and understanding that there is a perspective for if the manager, because the first thing that comes is that you stop judging people. That's one thing that I understood. So, because everything was judgment. So stop judging and say why he is doing this and why am I not going into these many, there used to be a major client, and I always wanted to be in the client meetings. When I was not going there, it used to bother me quite a bit. But here, when I stopped judging, as that naturally came, I said, there must be a reason why he is doing what he's doing. This is the shift that came in. Before it was never there. That simple shift was not there. And so I was very, very focused. I needed to be in the meeting. And now it changed to maybe a reason of why he's doing it. So that itself was sufficient for me to step back and not feel bad about not being there. Okay. A change in me. Then the other change that happened was that you understand thought level communication, that when whatever you're wishing intentionally in thought level. So I would do that before meeting him, before talking about important things like I would like to be part of this client communication. Then I would do that, do a rehearsal, I guess, if you will, in the mind, and then talk to him and say, this is what I'm gaining as an outcome from this meeting. And so go in and then do those conversations, and things would exactly start happening that way. If not immediately, then but two meetings down the line, things would happen. So the cooperation came. Earlier, I would say it is not happening and there is not the second. But now, the moment I changed my thought, I removed the resistance to it. And now I understand all of this scientifically, that if you have the resistance, then you're out of the field, so things will take time. If you remove the resistance, and then of course you send back a different signal, then you start attracting a different outcome. That's really what is happening.
Okay, yeah, that's amazing, sir. That's actually an eye-opener, because our perspective matters a lot. And you conveyed the same information, but because your perspective changed, it actually sent a message and he was able to see your perspective as well.
And the second thing that, of course, that happened was you become automatically, it was all about you. But this whole process, meditation, shifted that thing to say, now started being more empathetic about other colleagues or other individuals who are, instead of me, who are always being taken. Now, only later, as I go and dig deep and understand it, that they needed more help. They needed more help, more opportunity, because not everybody is same in organizations. And our managers spend more time potentially with those who need more help. Now you take it as, or they need less. You take it as equal time, but then who needs more help? That's where they spend time. Like a mother spends time with the child more, who needs more help.
Yeah.
Who are self-managing, they say, okay, they'll take care. So it's like that, which was also a point that was missed. Right, in a lot of child rivalry, sibling rivalry happens because of this. That they think parents are giving more attention, but the parents give more attention because they need more help. And so that perspective was missing again. But meditation brought that perspective, become more empathetic and understanding, and say maybe others need this, maybe they need. So that is helping easily to start embracing everybody, no matter how they were behaving, or at times that they appear like this is not right. Right, so it gives you that perspective, because in meditation we are embracing that connection every day. We are one in the field. We are separate here, but one in the quantum field. So every day when you go into the meditation embracing field, you're finding your connection, and so you come out, and then you start seeing them as you. That's why we feel that empathy.
Okay. And sir, what can one do, like from an employee perspective, to build that trust and that openness with the manager or your boss? What can we do? Like
Meditation. What can you do? So, meditation brings some core values, right?
Yeah.
One of them is we cover this self-expression, inspiration, empathy. So these three things they're considered part of emotional intelligence. It starts with self-awareness, expression, inspiration, empathy, and engagement, 5 areas. But expression, inspiration, empathy, 3 things it builds. Expression, is rather than being arrogant or using loose words or different things, positively you're expressing with a consistent pressure. It's called positive pressure. Meaning you are asking what's important. If a project is important, you ask. If a Change in job is important, you ask. And a hike is important, you ask, but you express it rather than keeping it to yourself and concluding yourself and not being happy, right? So, or if you're giving a feedback to somebody, express it positively. It's called rather than the meditation builds a character where you no longer trying to expose people. I talked about empathy. So it builds empathy. And so then your goal is to be identify and highlight issues, become more integral and ethical, identifying issues, and then for the overall benefit, not an individual benefit. You no longer take you take your eye out, you're always looking for the whole. And so you express and then don't try to avoid things. Instead, you express it positively, meaning not aggressively, and then for example, if you want to and say, hey, I would like to change my role because I've been working here. I understand you are wanting me to do, I will do, but I'd like to change. Now, he may not listen. Now, before meditation, then you are immediately saying, hey, he's not listening, and then you go about making all kinds of comments, judgments everywhere. But here, persistence matters, you understand it. So you do a second time, and you do a third time, you go after. You know that time loses its value over a period of time, you more and more you meditate. And so even it's okay, a second time and a third time and a fourth time, you perceive on this one and then express it, and it's when things come around. So one is your expression is better. When you're giving a comment, you're not trying to expose anybody and feedback review comment. Instead, you genuinely want to help. And so then rather than trying to expose somebody in public, you're trying to do that in private. Simple things. You don't have to do where it doesn't have to be done. You don't do it in public. Before meditation, in a group meeting, a big review, you will say, okay, that particular is not right. But here, it's a waste of everybody's time. A lot of things come together. Now you go in private and then do these conversations. So this is what exactly I was doing, especially with executives. Just like that, you say something, it won't go well. And so you develop the ability of expression greatly in how much and what. That's the first thing that happens, right? Everything is about you. And second thing that's happening is meditation helping us to become very integral. That means because we enjoy what we are doing. And so then we start going into the detail, we take responsibility. So self-management automatically comes. A meditative employee that we've seen, the moment they take on meditation, you can forget about it in terms of what you give to them, because in most cases, they handle it. They'll figure it out. In case they have a problem, they'll come back and talk to you. And so you become a manager's delight. You are going into the detail. You are helping because you enjoy so much. That's what happens. When you enjoy something, what we do, we go into the detail. We don't just do half of that work there. We actually do a good job at it. And so that would happen. And then that I've seen, so we introduced meditation, simply that's what I was doing. So you've always been a great employer, a great employee, because managers think, okay, I've given it to him, so things will get done, and at least I will know if they don't get done appropriate time. Okay.
Yeah.
It's called inspiration. I mean, by being detail-oriented, you're inspiring others. When you go detail, when you produce work, and when you're calm, there is calmness and then detail, both are required. Meditation brings both of them, right? A lot of times people are, for example, let's say this whole job market is not great, so there's some kind of a layoff happening, right? When there's a review is happening, everybody is sort of worried a lot, right? And saying, what's going to happen to my job? But, in a meditative side, generally you're more less survival oriented. You're thinking, okay, I only need one job, not many jobs. So if not here, somewhere else. And right thing will happen to me if I continue to perform to my best. So you do it, you continue. You're not worried about what's going around. So you become an inspiration because you're still calm. There may be a big chaos in a meeting. You go back and still calmly doing your work. So then people look at you and say, okay, calmness, quietness. How are you so cool? And even though other arguments happen today, they're trying to blame you. You don't want to take things personally. That 4 agreements comes greatly into our rescue, right? And so this is second inspiration. Empathy is, as I mentioned, as you experience connection, you start thinking about others. And you are helping automatically others. What is in it for me versus how can I enable others? That is another switch that happens. What is in it for me in every meeting, in every situation too? How am I enabling others? This automatically comes. So these 3 things happen, helping others. What does it mean? Suppose you have a deadline, others have a deadline. Now, typically, it becomes common that earlier used to be worried about yours, you finish and then not bother, or you try to finish yours and then only take care of others. But now you say, let me help others, and then my work, I can stretch myself a little later at my home and then do it. So a small switch, right? So that is empathy, being able to take care of others as well as you. It comes from the perspective that holistic. You want to succeed overall together, not just you or just that individual. And so then, even if you delivered early, others don't deliver, you're still impacted. Earlier, that understanding is not there. Now that understanding comes because you are there for a purpose. And so then you want to see that everybody succeeds forward than simply you finishing and then saying, okay, I've done, and so then go around the office. So that is called empathy. So we develop these skills and habits. And so automatically you think you're becoming a great asset to the organization, or the other way where managers develop these habits, then they become great managers for employees.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. That is actually a very nice perspective to hear, because I have worked a lot as an employee, but I have also started doing the middle management roles. So it becomes very stressful at times because you have to manage up and manage below as well. And what happens in such situations is, because of the geographical diversity as well, like when you see Indian employees, there is survival of fittest race always. Like if you are underperforming, there is that actually stays with the individual, that they have to perform better, and because it's kind of like a race. But when you come to Western countries, especially Australia, what happens is there are a lot of other challenges for the employees, especially lot of them actually deal with the attention disorders like ADHD or autism or things like that. And there are policies in the corporate world also, how to work with such employees and how to make sure they're delivering up to the mark, or at least to a sustainable level, so we can retain them. So then how can meditation help in such situations?
The biases, the biases that are they setting in, whether you have an employees of that nature, or you have, let's say, pregnant women, or in general, the bias against women, because you think that, okay, they generally have difficulty not being able to extend hours, stay longer hours. There are so many biases that are there.
Yeah.
That generally are, because they keep forming in, because there's only one thing in the back of the mind, that I have to perform, I have to excel, I have to take care of a bonus, I have to do this, I have to show, protect my image. Many things are there. Because of all of them, by default, managers are by default, and you're also worried about, a client strongly pulling you up in case you're not able to deliver. So you are always looking to navigate yourself and give work to the best employees. Very common. You're taking the top 20% and continue to give them, and then you're trying to sort of not bother about everyone else, whether their performance-wise not that great, or they have some physical limitation, or any of this kind, social limitation, family limitations. But one thing that's happening with meditation is that these biases disappear slowly, because you are fundamentally developing a heart-centric approach. I was trying to allude in the beginning that our ability to perform is increasing in the modern world. As the technologies are improving, our tools are coming, our ability to perform is increasing, capacity to perform is increasing. And so that intellectually we're becoming stronger and stronger and stronger. So then somewhere unspokenly, the thing that you are meeting targets growing more is there. In that dimension, we're growing, but the dimension to connect, dimension to care and then look at the other side is missing slowly.
Yes.
And so we are more worried about whether I'm able to deliver, whether I gave a word, I must deliver. And then, there is something tied to more and more of greed and this and that. They're all more that side. Then to look at and step back and say, so what if I'm not able to do it a week later if I do? Because there is something more important here to this employee. Or this employee joined us because fundamentally they wanted to innovate, they wanted to experience something special. That's why they joined. And so then I must find a way to give him or her the option, even if it means to a long-term benefit than a short-term crazy effect. And so a meditative manager is able to look in a more heart-centric approach. So then, because you're no longer racing with that targets and goals significantly, only that dimension, then you're also taking perspective on one side. Second side, you're also seeing that everyone is equal. Everyone has the capability if given an adequate chance. We've seen it again and again. If there's a good attitude in an employee, that's all we see. Good. If there's a good attitude, then they can be given work and they deliver. I had seen this so much. I learned with Patriji during this whole meditation service work. Then I started applying everywhere in the businesses. And a meditative leader finds the hidden talents of as employees. This is a great asset, the skill they develop. You know intuitively what is right and what is the best that a given employee can do. So you automatically move them into doing that work. And so they also shine. Earlier, it is simply strictly role and this and that, but now you sort of are able to juggle the boundaries and then give them what is right for them, right? So I always have seen, and I'd hired people for program management, in product management, but I've seen then the more you interact, you know that, okay, the strength is not really product management, it's more program management to sort of move them a little bit around, right? Some people have seen, even though they're in development, they're writing great documents. You're giving them and saying, hey, you know, you're expressing very well, writing pretty well. Can you work with the architects and then document this better, right? So then they're happy and then you're getting great quality. And so this is also helping. So you are looking more heart-centric approach. You recognize that everybody has talents. And so as a meditative leader, you figure out what is their strength and their interest and you're aligning to them. And so they perform. So this is bound to happen. Your biases, which you are more aware because the biases are more subconscious. It's called belief system, right? And
Yes.
they're not generally, we're not aware, we are within them. But with meditation, where you start looking at and saying, that's true. Why am I by default going to only my top people? Why am I not ever giving into workshop? And so then suddenly that thing comes, and then you start embracing her too as a team, no matter what could be a family difficulty for somebody may have, right?
Yes. That is, I think, quite important, sir. So leaders, I think, have to do more meditation because they have to approach with a heart center and make right decisions. Otherwise, a single wrong decision might impact an individual so hard that, you know, it just takes them so many years to come back, or they might even not come back, you know. And
I think the biases, which is basically come because of the beliefs, environment, others are behaving that way, other managers, and somewhere you have the back of the mind, you also made a belief system, right?
yeah,
You know, it commonly happens when somebody carries, because then you say now the work will get impacted. So suddenly the manager is sort of taking work off them to behave and then trying to give as much to keep everyone fit mentally. And so these unconscious biases, which are more on judgments and behaviors, and which is fundamentally what meditation is addressing, the subconscious, which is holding of judgments or habits or attitudes and behaviors, perceptions. And it makes us look into them and then change because of all the wonderful knowledge that we learn through various books that we're recommending, right? So the knowledge and then meditation is fundamentally helping you change all the limitations within the limiting factors. And most of them are these biases too. Go ahead. Yeah.
yeah. And sir, how do we then build a cooperative culture? And what does it take to build this culture in the workplace?
Cooperative culture. I think it's like I said, if the switch develops and say rather than what is in it for me versus how can I enable others, it's really that thing. What is in it for me? And every meeting, a situation, and a project are when I'm going in, one thing is to say, hey, I need to, I need to grow, I need to do this versus when I'm going into a project or role, how can I enable? Because it is my joy is in helping others, is fundamentally that we are understanding. And when that comes, when we are able to fundamentally take time off to help others at workplace, and then second thing that is happening is alignment, right? The meditation typically brings alignment. It is okay. Earlier you used to think that because you thought this is a great design, this is the way it has to happen. So in a meeting, you argue. Somebody has put a perspective in a design review, you're arguing, saying, no, 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 this is not great because this is out. You just hold on to your point. But with the meditation, through our otherwise understanding and then allowing others to also have their points, and then let the system decide it is okay. You're not, just because your point is not considered, not becoming any lesser. All right. So making your point, but allowing others also to make their points. And so that let the system decide. So it's called going into alignment. Right. So somewhere you have to align. You cannot just continue to hold your points and then every time you meet up and say, I told you, I did this, I told you every time. So this is what happens before meditation. Or many times we try to hold on to our points and try to bring this up again and again. They can't just go beyond it. So meditation helps you to just bury things that are unwanted, and then it brings people into alignment just by agree to disagree. It becomes more easy. Why? Because the mindfulness is developed. In the moment you are understanding and saying, it's okay, there are many ways you can get there. You can get there in many ways, it is okay. And sometimes, it is, you know that it is inefficient. You know for sure somebody is taking an approach, it is inefficient, and so then it is perhaps going to cost a little more than what you are, what if they implement. But they don't see the point, you allow it to happen. If they don't see the point, before meditation, you're pushing your way and saying, no, this is how it has to be. This is what burns bridges. People don't like, because then you say you're pushing on me. You're not allowing me to do what I would like to do. But a meditative manager or as a meditative employee, if you lead, then you're looking at it saying, okay, I recognize it. Let them do it. Even though it is a slightly expensive, but then they're learning a little hard way, but it is okay. You cannot try to push for perfection. All right. So it's also called, another term is allowing imperfection to happen.
Yes.
You must allow imperfections. And so then you allow innovation to thrive and people come forward with new. So helping others to express their points, and then at times we have to let it go, and then because it's very important for somebody, and then let them do through it. It is okay. It's fine. So it brings alignment, right? And I think
Yes.
these are some points that you want to take in bringing cooperation.
Yeah. Well, thank
And
you,
the
sir.
answer is our answer for all of them is meditation. Of course, all
Yes,
these
yes.
things they talk about are there. Who doesn't know that, hey, help others, and not only do you help others,
Yeah.
right? Agree to disagree is there, but the thing is so difficult to do it. But with the present moment awareness, with a bigger understanding that there isn't called anything of perfection, it's only excellence is there. When you have these understandings that you are there, when you read these books, and then you sort of also experience it every day and analyzing and contemplate, then automatically you let things happen.
Yes.
Not in a bad way, you're not escaping, giving up, but you are just helping others to experience their thing too, of whatever they are there in organization, they're helping them experience as much as you're experiencing too. That's what you're doing.
Yeah. And these days after COVID, sir, what I have observed is the need for more heart-centered approach is essential, because earlier all the employees were in office. It was a bit easier, but now with this hybrid way of working, where you have policies, but you should have this trust and openness also. So that delicate balance of performing from an heart-centered approach, I think that is the essential ingredient of the day for everyone. Because
Yeah,
what is your perspective, sir? Yeah.
the fundamental reason why people are not able to take tougher decisions are an heart-centric approach is a fear and worry. For example, what is a heart-centric approach? Let's say there is a challenge in the environment.
Yeah.
And then if I have to, the easy option I have is to take people out. And the top management says we are going into losses, and so then we must reduce this entire division to this. The easy option is to take out, but the tougher option is to work with everybody involved and then talk to them, convince them, rather than taking out and sending off a whole bunch of employees or taking the whole project out. Work with your people and then convince them and say why it's important to let go of some part of it and then still keep the rest. Rather than chopping off the entire project and then a whole set of people, we say, can you let go of this module and then still work and then distribute among us? Now that requires one to go and challenge or work with your most critical employees who are also come with an attitude. They come and say the critical employees, and then if you try to trust them, you're generally worried. If I go and then tell them, hey, can you take a pay cut? Or can you remove that module that is not that necessary, because we're looking at how do you balance things here. A business is going through tough situations. So having that renegotiation or going back and then talking to them against things that they may not agree, the managers must have that courage to do it. A lot of times we don't do. We say, no, if at the moment anything I say, they'll immediately leave, and so it's going to be very difficult. We can't do it. So the courage is missing for us to take a little more longer route, what it may appear like, or it may appear like going with challenges, right? So that's why many times people take an easy route of, okay, so just give pink slips to a whole group. Versus, what have we done when we had this challenge? What have we've done? We sat together, we were and told everybody in the organization and said, guys, we're taking 60% cut. Rather than sending more and more people, can we do this? And then 2-3 of them even approached and said, can you go zero if financially is being supporting? That case by case, we need to be able to tackle. So it needs some courage. It comes from one ability. The courage is required to take risks. For example, you're risking. Your top employee may leave because of what you're trying to do. But the courage is required. Fundamentally, you are operating from this point that I can make it happen. You are positive in that constant thought that it is okay, I can handle it, I can make it happen. You go with that courage. And so then you're having those tougher conversations with employees or anyone. Non-performing employees, that's another problem. When the non-performance is there, people hesitate to give feedback. Instead, they prefer to just say, oh, you're not performing, and then we'll send you home. That's easy decision, right? On that day, without even giving any chance, you send home. Versus a non-performance employee, you should be ready to have a tough conversation if required with them, because you have a contract negotiation with together. They've agreed and you agreed for certain terms. Then you should be able to sit down with them and then tell on the face. Now, why are you generally not ready? Because people will react widely in a performance conversations. When they react widely, you also react widely, and so then it goes into a different connotation. So then you say, I cannot deal with that person, I'm not doing it. But if you are more balanced and if you're more courageous, you're sitting and then going there and doing those tough conversations. It's important. So that way you're helping the person grow than to simply not even give feedback and then pushing them out of the system, right? So these are important. So meditation brings that courage. It gives you that strength to be in tougher situations and gives you the risk-taking ability. Okay.
Oh, that is really beautiful, sir. It answered a lot of questions for me as well, because I'm also in a role of managing employees, and these are beautiful because I think I'm very much, grateful for attending or hosting this session, because courage is something I've been working on as a leader too. That what you've said is exactly right. Rather than pushing the employee away, it is better to have those courageous conversations. And that also means operating from a heart center, right? Telling them what is lacking in them. So giving them an opportunity to work along, like be a coach or a mentor for
Yes,
them.
it's fundamentally know that everyone is equally capable.
Yes.
In some ways, a misalignment, right? Either they're not aligned to the goal or they just have something else going on in their life. We often miss that, right?
Yes.
We know that something else is going on. Invariably, you sit down and have a cup of coffee with people. They always encourage, always told, even if it's a startup and even if you have 5 employees, and you are probably meeting 2 times a day, and the managers generally think, okay, now anyway I met him, and so they don't. But I say a weekly once, allocate time and sit down and then do just a friendly conversation. Hey, how is the life? What's going on? It doesn't have to be anything about goals at all, but just having the conversation will help to understand what's going on in their personal life. Maybe they're taking care of their parent, which is a tough thing for them. So they're not able to perform. So many things are there. So you have to give that rope. So this is a human-centric approach, right? Which can impact, of course, an overall ability to deliver. But then you're absorbing it. You're figuring out it's not about not delivering because of this potential impact is there, but you are creatively or you're thinking positively about an outcome. Ultimately, it's about client satisfaction, suppose. Or a client could be your boss who need to be you need to deliver something for them. So you may intelligently go still deliver things and telling them here are the 80% which are most important I delivered, this 20 I didn't deliver. And then of course you're visualizing, imagining and dreaming about a great outcome. And invariably you cause an outcome like that, right? You're causing the effect. You're not worried about effect of it, you're causing the effect. You call this. And so you are doing that too. On one side, you're giving that help. And so two employees not perform well, you know it, you're giving them leave, whatever. On the other side, you're able to find a way to present pretty well. And there are always the case where it doesn't have to be 100% delivery. It is about delivery to satisfaction. They're two different things,
Yes.
right? We are held up on, I committed in this, in the entire PRD, so many things, and so I had to deliver all of them versus, and a good manager is looking at and saying, what is really important and say, ensure that deliver, and then client is satisfied, it is good. And then you get time to do other things later, like that. Yes.
Oh, beautiful, sir. Thank you so much. I think I am done with my questions. Do you want to present, sir, the slides? Or
No,
can we
it's
go?
already so much late. I'll send you the slides if you want to circulate. It'll take about
Okay.
20 minutes. All right.
Okay. Yeah.
But I can always come back another time to do the presentation of how we are presenting it to the organizations
Yeah.
and the value that meditation is bringing. Okay. One incident I want to talk about in terms of, how meditation really it gives you the big picture to operate, and then you truly are in that. When I was transitioning from IBM, and this very, very senior leader was coming to India to meet my team. I was running the same business that my company got acquired with. And so this leader is coming, and this entire team, of course, here in India reports to me. And he was coming to India, so he came. And this is a transitioning meeting. A transitioning meeting, you are there always. You are there, at least initial meeting, you're setting up and then telling the leader that, okay, here is my team, he's the director, these people, then you inform him and say, guys, he wants to take it forward. And so then let's transition, right? You're transitioning into a business to somebody. Now this person comes to India and then lands, and then morning he calls me for a breakfast meeting, and I go in a common. So I went to his hotel and we were having a chat. He's a great master, great not meditator, a great executive. I have
Yeah.
great respect. He was really good at what he was doing. Okay. And so he calls me for a meeting and tells me, Chandra, I don't want you to be in this meeting today. The transition meeting was set up for the whole day. And he said, I don't want you to be in the meeting today. Meetings, I'll take on them. And then he said, if you are there, your team members will not speak at all, and then they won't be able to express well. So I didn't want you to be there in the meetings. I was like shocked. The insecurity that this person is carrying, that and the bias or the opinion he was carrying, that people work for me means they'll only support me because this is common. Politics are common. If
Yeah.
a set of team is working for you, they support you as a manager. So you're thinking that these are all Chandra's people, so they'll support him. And then so if there are issues, they'll never come out if Chandra is there in front. That was his worry. Okay.
Yeah.
And so he told me on the face, I said, fine. So, Alan, no problem. I'll use the word here. No problem, somebody. And whoever that, if you don't want to be there, no problem. I won't be there. And I was able to take that. I sense where he's coming from. What is that I want? I want transitioning. I don't want to prove that I am the owner of this team. I want a best transitioning, still the best thing to happen to the organization so that you can get relieved and then you go and then do your work. It's about that it's being very objective than trying to be egocentric. So I went and then told my team that, hey, I'm not joining. And they somewhere got to know that he was asking me to not join. So they became very mad. Many of my directors saying, this is rubbish. I'm not going to the meeting. They were saying, then I had to call them and say, look, you are carrying in this organization, you need to go and then there is a certain comfort factor that he gets by being me not being there. So you do the meeting. If I'm not worried about, what are you worried about? And if I'm not bothered about this as an insult to me, why are you worried about it? So just continue the meeting and do the right thing. And so they went, and then they did the meeting without me. And then he understood it is more about transitioning and enabling, and then not about hiding facts. Because always that's how we drove the team, being very, very open about what is there, and then bringing it up to the table, then to conceal it, and then presenting a rosy picture to the management. It's never about that. So I think, we as meditative leaders are more objective than playing to the ego politics and this and that. And so it went smoothly, and he was happy what he wanted. At the end of the meeting, he came back and said, your team is highly cooperative. Anyway, you could have easily been there in the meeting, but it doesn't matter, but it's over. And
Yeah.
so, thank you for inviting me. It's great. And
Thank you, sir.
if you have more questions,
I'll pass on to
Okay.
Lavanya, sir. Thanks for
Okay.
sharing your experience. She will coordinate for the Q&A from all the audience. Thank you.
Thank you, Sri Lakshmi.
Hi, Rajanji. Great to see you there.
Yeah, Rajasthan, please share your words.
Swanlata madam is also there. Hi, madam.
Hi, Chandrasekhar. It was really wonderful. And I would say that whatever you said also confirms my strong belief that you are a pillar of the movement, pillar of the PSSM, and you have been like that. But there are times when I used to wonder, is it not the right time to follow this great person? Because you have come out of so many stress and strains in the course of your corporate career. But then we have to pay all the tributes to our enlightened master Brahmarshi Patriji for all the initiative that he has taken, because he has created a sense of belonging. And as now, whatever questions are raised by Sri Lakshmi, I would only say this, that it is a change of attitude that is important, ultimately, to bring out the best among our employees or among the people with whom we work. So attitudinal change will do a lot. But we are also happy at the same time that the corporate community has started recognizing something that it has intuitively felt for a very long time, that success does not mean financial gain alone, that business must yield emotional, mental, and spiritual prosperity for all the men everywhere in the world. And what is prosperity again? Because I remember Torkam Sarai Darian's book, Dynamics of Success, is written wonderful. And The Spring of Prosperity is another book that I would recommend to everyone here. That he says true prosperity is abundance in our life of not only money, but virtues, health, and friends as well. So here it's wonderful. And I was very happy that you are on behalf of IFSS, I have to thank you for being present today. And once again, we would like to align with more bodies, more institutions, more organizations which are involved in the process of spreading meditation. Because ultimately, the psychological benefits of meditation are immense. And that there again, there is a very good book, Internal Happiness, Discovery of Internal Happiness by, I think it's Richard Tunis. There he says, I would take only 5 minutes because you're already running out of time. And he says, increased ability to focus and pay attention, increased ability to multitask, then increased productivity and increased creative thinking. So all this really helps us in focusing and coming up to our ideal, whatever we want to achieve. So I would say you are a living idol for us. because you have been a very successful entrepreneur, and all because of meditation. Thanks to Patriji. Thank you, Chandra. We would like to see more of you in many of our sessions. So thank you once again.
Thank you, Rajanji. Great to hear. Great to have you. You being a corporate person from NABARD as a general manager, you worked for many years and then brought in some of that into PSSM when you came in the way you would organize events and meticulously, and then rightfully why you became vice chairman for the IFSS from the first go, and Patriji formed this. So thank you for being there. We are doing our second regional conference of meditation leaders in Pune next week, July 1st week. After the global conference, we started doing regional conferences. We did one in St. Louis. Now we're doing the second one in Pune. And more with speakers around regionally, we invite them. Similar format, but in a one-day format. Okay. When we come to Bangalore and Chennai, we'll invite you to be part of it again.
Oh, sure.
Okay.
Sure.
Yes.
It'll be a pleasure. Yeah.
Yes.
Sanlata ma'am.
Yeah, great wisdom. Great. Very nice. Thank you. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, madam. Always a great inspiration. Some of you may not know, madam again was instrumental in releasing Tulsi Dalam book of Patriji recently in English.
I did
In
not
English,
know.
without her, no English book gets released, I guess, and her signature has to be there. It was such a difficult book to sort of have it from. Shivana Garu did a great job in translating, and then
Yes.
madam had to put her full effort in, doing so many things. But it came very well, madam. So very, very happy that this, you were there in this great project. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, madam. Thank you, Chandra sir. It was really and it was enriching us with your insights and your guiding our perspectives. I really learned a lot in this session, especially towards management side and how you could coordinate, especially within your team, with our team manager, whoever it is, be with heart centric. Yeah, so with this, let us, friends, if you have any questions, please do raise your hands, or you can post it into the chat as well. So in the meantime, before our friends
have Mr. Vikal say something. So Vikal is there throughout the video on.
Yes, sir.
Good morning, Chandra sir. I really privileged to attend this session. Fantastic, and I keep adding on whatever I've been learning on this. So I do agree with whatever we have discussed today on the corporate life. Just want to add one point here. The perception whatever you have created about your manager and all that plays a big role. So if you have perceived mindset for the manager, okay, if I'm going to meet him, he's going to do this. There itself you kill the your intention. So that is also very important. And thank you very much for letting me to express this. Thank you very much.
That's great. Yes, it's all in just that. It's all in that. Ultimately, it's come back to that simple principle that your thoughts create the reality. So just being aware of wanting to create a different reality and then staying on top of it is all it is, right? And so we change our thought and then people change. That's a fundamental thread behind all of the change that we are talking meditation is bringing, because our thoughts and intentions change automatically due to all that higher wisdom, right? Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Gratitude.
Thank you, Vikal sir. Friends, if you have any questions, please raise in the chat or raise your hand. Sir, you have said about the limiting beliefs. So everyone will have so many limiting beliefs, probably consciously and unconsciously. So any tips to identify our limiting beliefs, or and then how to prioritize it when come to this the corporate life lifestyle?
We do three things for limiting beliefs. One of them, you know what it is, meditation, right? Regular meditation is essential to look into a subconscious. Limiting beliefs are shown as subconscious mind. The thing with the limiting belief is, compared to your negative thought, is that it is a hidden truth. It has become a truth, so it's difficult for you to even identify it is there with you, right? Oh, Ravi is always illogical. I don't think I can do it. We say this. This is a belief that is found in a person at the workplace is always tough. And we don't even question that because it is so matter of fact. We say it as a matter of fact. So now one can identify that it is there. My company, it only gives 10%, never gives more hike. It's just, there's a big company. What do you think? It can't get anything more than that. This is a truth. So it's difficult to even come out of it. Limiting beliefs are, that is the problem. Is that it's not just catching them because they become truths. And so we don't think they're limitation, they're negative. They think that's how it is. You know, there's a doctor very successful doctor in LA, when I was doing a workshop. She was saying, yeah, women have limitations there. What are you saying? Women have so many limitations. Of course it is true. Every day I see, and then there is so much is going on them. All the limitations are there, and there's so much bias is there. Then what do you say? Very successful, but then because the environment is pushed and say it says that, okay, it's all limitations are there. But where is the limitation? Now you understand from spiritual science, is the limitation here or limitation outside? And so, because it is, that's what you see. There is people, men are sort of pushing, they're taking biased decisions. And so then she came to the fundamental conclusion that I have to fight against the limitation as a system as opposed to fighting here. And so one is meditation. Meditation is helping us see. It automatically, as it lowers the analytical mind chatter, you know, the barrier, the analytical mind is the wheel. There's the conscious mind, analytical mind, and subconscious mind. The barrier, the wheel, the mask is the analytical mind. So meditation subdues the analytical mind. For a moment, it just stops it from analyzing every damn thing. And so then when it's not there, then we start looking at and saying, why am I thinking like this? When somebody is, the moment they made a comment in a business meeting, the moment they made a comment about a challenge, then suddenly I'm linking it back up to a limitation that I had in my mind and say, why am I thinking, oh, okay, so I seem to think that every time challenge is there, company took a tough action. So here I'm already associating that. So it helps you to think a little bit by subconscious program. So one is meditation. So you are able to look into what your limitations are. Second is we have to read and read and read and read. Patriji did this great thing. He said, you got to read from everybody. Keep reading, reading. Because the more you read different perspectives, the more you are coming out of limitations. Reading, you know, you read, for example, Richard Bach book, the Jonathan Livingston Seagull. Then you say, if a seagull can do, I can do. So you remove fundamental limitation that no, certain things are the way they are, that should not be questioned. You also learn that I can question and still be successful. And you can learn from there that no, oh, as a me, if certain things happen, I abandon things quickly, but here it's persevering so much, persuasion is there. Many things you learn. And so many limitations you drop automatically. Okay. Now, money brings challenges. Are managed in big companies. It's always finance that takes role. So when you have the limitations, when you are reading books, for example, Jim Collins books, Good to Great, you get points. You pick up points and say it's not about finance running. It's about that CEO taking an active call and interest in driving, and so then you lose that limitation. So one has to read. Conversation with God book sort of gives you a big perspective. Suddenly, many limitations disappear about your relationships, about money, and many things, for friendships, and what it means to you, right? So the third thing for one can do in reprogramming beliefs is developing something called empowering belief. and then affirmation to decide for yourself. For example, a limitation is there. Difficult to raise donations, so it is difficult to raise donation for my cause, and so I'm having struggle to do projects. It is a limitation. People come with a limited thinking, they form a belief that my cause, very difficult to raise donation, right? So then you develop an affirmation exactly opposite of it, taking cue from the quantum field of infinite possibility that everything is possible. And so to you are limiting yourself. And it may be a reason, the good reason is there, because if 5 times you tried, last 2 years, you struggled with donations, and so you had to abandon some projects, you come to a conclusion, it is difficult to raise donation, right? But so then you develop an empowering belief. The empowering belief would say that in the quantum field of possibilities, that I am raising great amount of donation and then doing my projects greatly, then you look at a foundation which is able to carry its work, seems like it is carrying. Any example you can take and say, let's say if Buddha Seva Corner Foundation is doing it, I can do it. If Shankara Foundation is doing it, I can do it. Take an example of somebody who is also there who are doing it, and so you do it, a possibility. So you make this affirmation enough times, strongly believing that is becoming true. That's an affirmation. Affirmations are work that way. So if you do this, it's like your decision, you're deciding to operate in a new way, and then affirm it a few days and about 3 weeks, then it becomes your new model. And so every time you go into a similar situation where people are not giving you a donation or you're feeling a little low, suddenly this new affirmation kicks in because it is replacing your old belief that is not possible. Now this you internalized it. So these 3 ways. One is you got to constantly meditate to stay on top of this limitation that you're doing your inner work constantly. They form all the time. Because as long as you're engaged in the society, engaged in the workplace, engaged in the family, you're forming limiting beliefs. So you meditate to identify that you're constantly forming. Look into yourself constantly. Catch yourself with any limiting behavior, meaning anything that stops you from doing more, is that means there is a limitation right there kicking in, right? And then second, read. Third is develop some empowering beliefs tactically for specific things that are bothering you, and affirm them, and so then that will sort of help you to go out of it.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for giving us this wonderful knowledge. Sir, and you also told that in one of this meeting, like before going, like you always persistently say what you want. I mean, so that like, yeah, it will come into reality. So sometimes because our, I mean, in our day-to-day life, because of challenges, we might not be in the same track or like every day. So how can we have that persistent mindset, sir, if we want to achieve that particular goal, like in the thoughts especially, without duality?
The answers are same, madam. So the answers are same. The thing is, you want to be in the company of inspired people to stay inspired, right? So when the satsang is said, it's not just about knowledge, by the way. When the 3 things we say, meditation and satsang, are be in the company of good people, or people who are learn from them. We use satsang as only for learning, but not learning only subject, their behaviors also. The third thing, of course, is reading, right? And so when you are with people, when you're meeting them regularly, and then the formal conversations are about subject, but informal conversations are about how they are handling their life situations, right? So this is where you will understand that many enlightened people are not, they're able to handle tough situations very coolly, calmly. And they're still trying to be positive in a situation. You see them firsthand implement, and so then you are able to be that because your environment supports you, right? So it is of course common to when there is a significant challenge, you forget. And that moment you are forgetting and you're out of the thinking. And so you're going back to your old self and say, okay, this is like this again, I don't know when this is all going to change for me. We go back to the old thinking. And but being regularly, in addition to meditation, because meditation is bringing you that awareness back again and again. So regular meditation there's no replacement for it. Regularity is so important. And then constantly and then meet people. Meet and Zoom here, there is good. Then I'll present my best, you present your best, and so we go away. right? But outside of Zoom, then you spend time in a day together. This is why I always encourage in these workshops and conferences where you're informally engaging with people, all kinds of stuff will happen there. And you'll still see how one is carrying themselves forward in a positive attitude. So you'll pick up things, right? It'll pick up things. So it's important to go into the physical places to meet and then engage and then take inspiration from each other and how they're carrying forward with the other masters. That is a true satsang, where informally you're learning a lot and taking inspiration, in addition to being aware fully in the present moment through more and more meditation. Comes with practice, over time, right? It's a lifelong practice.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. I think I don't see any questions here. Probably have given us the gist of it. So it's those 3 points. So we will all practice this, sir, and probably we'll see you in the upcoming sessions to see your presentation. So I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude, sir, for your time and dedication. I also want to extend my sincere thanks to the organizing team and technical team for their unwavering efforts. And I also thank Sri Lakshmi for facilitating a wonderful conversation with her insightful questions. Thank you, everyone. Thank you once again. We look forward to seeing you all again tomorrow for another fantastic session. Thank you.
Thank you. So we'll see you all again some other time. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.